Okay, we're recording.
Very good.
There's only two of us.
There's only two of us. Paul, I'm going to be counting on you for some motions today.
Do we have quorum that way, or?
Yeah, so for committee meetings, we don't have to
All right.
meet, and it could just be me really to run it. But
Okay.
in the past, that's how it's been sometimes. So happy that you're here, and happy that we're recording these meetings as well. I think that's probably good practice as much as we can going forward. So, welcome. Here's our call to order, and I'll open up the general meeting. Looking for an acceptance of today's agenda. We can
I so move.
Thank you. Excellent. There's our agenda. Okay. Any conflicts involved with what we're talking about today? Excellent. Me neither. Looking at our minutes from last meeting, I've taken a look through. I don't have any comments on that. Any comments from you on the last minutes?
No, I think that was captured well there.
Perfect. Can I get a motion to approve last month's minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes of the August 2020 Governance Committee meeting.
Thank you. Carried. I accept. Any new committee members, Angela?
No, we haven't received any yet.
And the accessibility policy for as far as implementation plan and training goes. Angela, I think really what we would want to say for that is that yourself and Taylor should be completing the AODA training course within some time. So maybe we can set a deadline for that for next year. I don't know, is January busy for you guys? Can we set it for early February?
We can actually probably set it for December.
Great.
Like by December, January.
Okay, that would be good. So let's set a time frame for that to be completed by December or January, and then we'll need some sort of mechanism to make sure that any new members that we hire in the future, that we know that part of their onboarding and training is going to have to be to complete the AODA training program. That was sent by Paul. I think it's a 6-hour program, if I can remember. So it is a little bit of time, and it can be split up. I think it's split up over 4 different sections, but
yeah,
I think good to know, and I think important that we make sure everyone does that and prints out the certificate that you receive at the end of it. Keeps that in the employee file just so we can ensure there's a record of that. So how would we make sure that happens, Angela? Is there
Well, they'd have to provide the certificate, right?
Yeah, how do we make sure that we remember to tell everyone that comes in?
Oh, well, we just make it standard practice when they get their TD1s that they're informed that, if they haven't got first aid, if that's a requirement, they have to do that. And if they need to do the AODA training, that has to be completed within 3 months of employment.
Perfect. That sounds good.
You have like an onboarding checklist?
We can create one.
Yeah.
I think that
That's what we have. We actually have like a full sheet of all the onboarding stuff that we got to do with student to staff, employees, whatever.
Do you mind sharing that with us?
Sure, I can send you over what ours kind of looks like for the steps we go through in terms of like
just
covering.
so that gives us something to follow.
Sure.
To start from. So on the accessibility, because Paul had mentioned before about people lip reading. So I did go out and purchase a box of face shields that are in the office in case the need should arise.
Excellent. Very good. Okay. The confidentiality agreement. Where was this precedent taken from? This is from our other confidentiality agreement that the board members signed?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Looks pretty good to me. I might add in there, being a lawyer, I like to use my little lawyer terms every now and again. On the third line down, where we're talking about who you can't reveal confidentiality to. So it would say, including relatives, friends, business, and other professional associations, other than those persons who have a legitimate need for such information. I would just say at the start, including but not limited to. It's a very contract term that I always have in there.
Okay.
And I would take out, as far as sharing information with other persons who have a legitimate need. I think I would want the executive director or committee chair to have authorized the disclosure. So instead of, I don't really want to empower people to decide that there's a legitimate need and then be able to rely on that for breaching that policy. It should probably be cleared before that information is shared.
So the executive director or committee chair.
Yeah, so there's two different ways to go. Maybe the executive director is not necessarily privy to it and wouldn't have the means for that. What do you think about that, Paul?
Yeah, that makes sense to me, that you've got some controls in place for how that is decided on.
Okay, so I'll send that over to you probably next week, Michael,
Okay,
for you to
yeah.
check the wording.
No problem.
This is-
I think everything else looks fine to me.
I agree.
Okay, so we will,
A motion to accept the revised version of the,
perfect.
I move to accept the confidentiality agreement as revised. Yeah, I think it's fine. As revised.
That's good to me.
Sure.
All right, I accept or I vote yes. So that's carried. So then moving on, the accessibility policy.
volunteer policy.
Correct. Volunteer policy. We're way farther down than when I was. Haven't had my coffee yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Volunteer policy.
This one's large, and so when I was going through this one, I think there's a lot in here that could probably be, I just didn't have the time to then start rewriting it all myself. There's a lot of duplication of content, and I think it could probably compress down quite a bit without losing its purpose and function.
I totally agree with you there. I got to page 9 and then stopped and said, yeah, we need to.
Okay, so I haven't taken a good look at it. This was what the capstone students had done. How about,
I'm not sure what precedent they were using on that or if they just wrote it from scratch or.
no, they took from what the city had, and then they had 3 other organizations. I know one was, had tons of stuff. It was a Toronto-based organization. I think one was from the Cancer Society, and I can't remember what the other one was from. So I'll take a better look at it, and maybe I can pare it down some. So if we want, we can just push this off to the next month. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it within the next 2 weeks, but I will try to make it a priority.
Yeah, I think.
But after the AGM, right? Because I've got tons of stuff. You know, like Friday we have the anchor grant that needs to be submitted and stuff, and then we're going to start having other grants coming in too. So
I think even next year that would be fine because we're not going to have any major events that require some more substantial volunteer controls.
yes and no.
Next year, right?
So events, no, but on Tuesday I'm trying to find volunteers to move a lot of the stuff out of the basement to our storage units and also to help set up one of the igloos. Our idea is if we can get pictures of how big it is and stuff, possibly someplace like Avanti's might be able to use one through the winter so that they can have dining out in the stars. If they can put a propane heater inside, and that would keep it warm.
Yeah, and I would say that it would be nice to have something like that and something like this in place for those types of things. But
okay, so we can push
it's more of a document for if you're interacting outside with public, also interacting with each other. But
yeah,
small little groups like that where they're going to be under your guys the whole time. I think it's okay.
Okay, so if we bring this back up, like I can try maybe November.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can take a look at November, I think it does need quite a bit of an overhaul, so it might take a little bit of extra work.
Okay.
I mean, we've got. I'll send you my just initial comments up to page
Sure.
9. Like Paul said, there's a lot of repetitive contact, but there's also like definitions, like a walk-in volunteer versus a regular volunteer.
Mhm.
Well,
Didn't know that we distinguish between those two, and if we do, we need to have that well.
so the difference between those two, and I was very adamant in that it be there, because what will happen is we'll have an event and we'll have a number of volunteers sign up regularly. But we might have, and this has happened in the past, so I'll have people that just walk in off the street and say, hey, I saw your sign saying that this is the volunteer station. Do you need extra help today? So that's why it was distinguished, because then we don't have the same checks, right? We don't have the time to do the interview and stuff. But usually we need people, because I need 2 people at all the intersections. So if I only have 1 person at one intersection and someone walks in, I'm going to send that person over with that other person, right? For safety.
Yeah, so I think we need to be very clear on the difference between the two.
Yeah.
And
Does
then-
that provide you with the insurance protection that you need, though? Because when I'm running events that are
Yes. Yeah, they're
I have
covered
to-
under our director's insurance.
okay, because I have to name specifically. I have to actually provide the names of our volunteers to our insurance provider.
Yeah, if we do event insurance separate,
Yeah.
yes, but all our volunteers are globally covered under our director's insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, I've asked that in the past too, just to make sure.
Yeah,
That's why I can't do walk-ins on Fright Night.
Okay, yeah.
The other thing about this that struck me is that it looks like it refers to other policies that you guys probably already have in other, like for example, the confidentiality policy. I would
Which they
imagine.
sign when they come in.
Yeah, like they're probably in other places within your policies anyway. And so
Yeah.
it's like this policy tried to embed 10 other policies into the volunteer thing all at once.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't need to be there per se. So
I was concerned with the dress code policy too. Like nothing too revealing was used as a
Oh,
line
Okay.
in the dress code.
yeah. No, it should say, the BIA T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm
That's in
fine
there.
provided with that one's fine. If you're provided with the shirt for the volunteer purpose, identifying you as a BIA member, that's to be worn. But yeah, not.
Yeah,
Nothing
like I said, I
too
have
it's in
not had
trouble.
a chance to read the whole thing, so it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So yeah, no, I will make the time now.
Okay, no problem. Like I said, I don't think there's a huge push or a rush on that. We do have volunteers are covered somewhat in our policies and procedures that we have anyways.
Yeah.
And was things taken from that and referred to from that document?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
We had a volunteer policy in the past, so they started from that, which I'm not sure if that was looked at when our policies and procedures were being drafted.
okay. I think Amanda got all those from BODBIAA or OBIAA, if I can remember correctly. So it's a good starting point for that as well. So anyways, we leave it in your capable hands. Yeah, I think some substantial revisions need to take place, and we'll take a look at it again and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have new business. So Angela, you sent us a draft letter.
Yes. So this is hopefully to go out.
You want to go in camera for this because we're talking about an identifier?
No, we don't need to. I checked with the clerks.
Okay.
The clerk said that this does not need to go in camera because the person has published their results.
Okay.
And it's not considered their individual opinion because it's been a survey. Okay. So I know that this letter, community development is wanting to put this out today or tomorrow. There may be a few things that they want to change, but they want to make sure that governance was aware of it and aware of the situation as well. Right? because it has really impacted one of our members or a different member. And it's, you know, just blatant mistruths, right? There was no fact checking, even though they could have checked. The website was up when they were making their survey. They could have easily gone through the documents to see that the claims that they were making were not accurate. And this individual was also at one of the board meetings and was asked directly, did you check with any board member before you submitted your survey to make sure things were accurate? And they said no. Well, they
Yeah.
sort of dodged the question and didn't really, but they
So
did.
my question on that would be, why would we write this to the person that made the survey instead of just publishing it on the website or the board package or something for the members to access?
I think the thought is that hopefully this individual will, you know, at least go and talk to the other member. And see that, you know, like, we're not trying to call them out in the public like they've trying to do to us. We're actually, you know, going to them and saying, you know, this is not correct.
I think that makes sense to address that, to address them directly about their incorrect information, and as it lists there, to ask them to even make some steps to correct that misinformation going out there, rather than just making a generic statement that they may or may not even see or pay attention to. This way, if it's right in front of them, that person understands that it was noticed, and that the BIA is requesting that corrections be made. I think if it was posted as a more general statement online somewhere, that it may create more confusion. Lots of people then asking, well, what is this coming from? Why did this happen? Or, you know, it may sort of balloon out into something that makes it more confusing.
Yeah.
What do you think about the language of the letter?
Seems a little condescending to me. It's not. It's written from a place of frustration, I think.
Clearly and understandably.
So, yeah.
Is there an adjustment that we could tweak to throw a little more diplomacy in there?
Yeah, that's,
We don't want to start fights, arguments. We don't want to be. I mean, obviously, it's an unfortunate scenario. It should not have happened that way, but you know, all the same, let's be on the better side of things and be.
yeah, my opinion would be, given the experience with this particular individual, is that he's pursuing a specific agenda that
Yeah.
I don't think this letter is going to change anything. So I just would want to know more the long-term strategy of why we would further engage to discuss this. I guess we want to correct mistruths. We're going to correct the mistruths, and I would like to have that done.
I think the thought process is, like, we knew that the survey wasn't accurate, right? And we didn't address it head on before because we sort of felt he would do the right thing. But now he's basically saying this business is getting free rent. And he knows that that's not correct because he was at the board meeting and it was like, and was asked, you know, did you check this? You know that, you know, this was not the case. So he actually had the opportunity to, when he published his results, to say, you know, this question may not be worded correctly, or he could have even said, you know, I'm not 100% sure, but it appears this way. But he's stating it as they're getting free rent. And it's not even close to true. Didn't even, like, he knows who the business is. He could have gone and even talked to them and didn't do that either. So he's, you know, they're complaining that during COVID, we have all these businesses shut. Well, here is one of 5 businesses that have opened up during COVID, and he's making it that much more difficult on them. Right? And I think that's why, like, we want to address it. Like, before, it was just sort of a generic survey. Now it's impacting our other members. Like it's a direct impact on this business. Because this business that, you know, it's supposedly receiving the free rent is now worried that members are going to see them in a different light. And it's sort of pitting members against members.
Mhm.
Yeah. I kind of go back and, I mean, if this is maybe way too abstract, but I kind of would draw on the similarities between Republicans and Democrats in the United States, where you can spread mistruths deliberately for the purpose of riling people up, and if those people don't like you, it doesn't really matter what you say. The truth no longer really matters.
Yeah.
And spending time correcting mistruths actually just further cements the position that they have. That's kind of an FU position. And I can just kind of see that I've kind of said that a few times throughout, that this seems like the tactic that's being used, or at least is similar to the tactic that's being used. So I would caution against taking the Hillary Clinton combatant approach to that, or even the where they're at now. Like, just don't focus on that stuff. I guess, yeah, it's directly impacting the member, and that's not good. But to send him a letter and ask him to immediately remedy the situation, he's just going to say, well, maybe it's not free rent, but it's $12,000 of rent. You know, how much is the full rent payment? Oh, if you want me to correct the misinformation, give me a list of all the business names like I've been asking for, and you guys have been denying me, so that I can go out there and give the correct information to everyone. And
I mean, he can go do that himself too, right? Like he can go walk around and get that.
I understand. I'm just predicting what the response is going to be to this.
Oh,
letter.
yeah. No, I understand that too. I think the only reason that this letter was drafted, because I know that, you know, one of the other board members received a copy of his information because he emailed the results to her, right? So, and nothing was done or said until I received a phone call from a very upset member, right? And I spent a good portion of Friday talking to this member and calming them down. And then the chair also called and, you know, to make sure that this member was okay. And I actually even came in on Friday to go and see the member just to make sure that they were okay.
Yeah, so maybe
just making him
better
aware.
would be a letter from that member to the board to come into the board package so that it can be discussed at the board meeting, and publicly addressed, to note the impacts that the incorrect information has had on her directly. So now you've got an emotional appeal from someone who's actually been impacted. I don't know if they want to come forward with that, but I don't know. I just feel like this back and forth, you're not going to, send it if you want, I guess, but it's, in my mind, the strategy is going to do more harm than good. And it's just going to result in demands and cementing positions for the demands that he's been making before. So I think a stronger approach to, like I said, would be to have comment from the membership on how that misinformation affected them and impacted them, and to clarify right from the word of the person who's receiving the benefits.
Okay.
That would be my 2 cents.
I think, yeah, along those lines, perhaps an adjustment for this letter is simply to correct the misinformation that this member has about how the Discover the Space ran, what it did, and clearly asking them to take steps to remedy the situation probably won't go over well with them anyway. So simply focus on the message of, we're going to correct your misunderstanding of this, of the information. Here's how the program actually works. Here's what it actually meant. It did and comment that it did have this negative effect upon the business owner that this is about, and then kind of leave it at that. I don't think we press for further actions remedy, because I think that, again, like you're saying, Michael, I think it'll just balloon it up and cement further argument that we don't want to have happen. It's wrong information went out. Okay, once it's out, it's out. You cannot really address that. I mean, even if this person put out a statement later, how do you know everybody who saw the first statement is going to see the corrective statement anyway, right?
Yeah.
And I think it would just make them more angry and argumentative against how the program's running. Just simply provide them with the corrected information, saying, we just wanted to let you know this is the actual correct way that this program runs. Incorrect information go out has upset that business owner affected. We'd appreciate you, and as it says in there, it's well done actually. Please join us and talk to us about the program. You don't have to run out and do separate surveys. Come and talk to the board about it if you have concerns. That's what the board's there for.
Yeah. Okay, so I will take this back to them and make those suggestions.
Sounds good. Any other new business?
Not that I'm aware of.
Paul, anything for you to bring up?
No, plenty on my plate already. I don't need anything new to come up.
Are you in the office? Are you in the office on McMillan or on the head main office there in downtown?
I'm kind of mixed. My actual home desk now, as of the past year or so, has been in our Whitby location, downtown Whitby. But my role has made all of them, and I'm frequently at the main office on Richmond Street there, because that's where our main server and stuff is too, for the tech side of what I do.
Gotcha.
So probably there still more than half the time anyway.
Well, you're right across the street from us when you're there. It's my office is the big gray building across the street from us. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm always looking over there to see. Oh, I wonder if Paul's over there. But, okay, well, that should wrap things up nice and early. I'm a time champion.
All right. Well done.
If we could have, I guess, a motion to accept that we respond to the communications committee with our suggestions on their letter.
Yeah, I move that we have addressed recommendations for response to the letter from the member for the communications committee to follow up on, or the board, whichever is appropriate.
Perfect. I think it's the communication. I don't know, the communications and marketing committee, or there's a new something or other.
It's actually part of the community development.
Community development. Thank you, Angela. I accept. Thank you. And then motion to adjourn.
I so move to adjourn this meeting.
Excellent. Everybody, we will see you again next month, and good luck with our busy weeks.
And I'll see you tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow, Angela.
What's the date on our next one? Sorry.
I don't know that we've set it yet.
Okay.
No, we have, I believe. We always try to do it before the board. So I have it as the 28th of October.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Everyone will be in Halloween outfits.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
Hey,
All right.
thanks. Bye.
Great. Thank you. Bye.